Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this simple coach to coach interview. Do appreciate you taking the time. It is always good to have a rookie on the podcast, and you are indeed a rookie. So do appreciate it.
Long-time listener, though. So.
All right. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. See, it's all the influencing. You can't help it. I attract people because of all the influencing. Hey, and because you are a rookie, you get to start out with the same question I give to everyone in your shoes. Can you just talk a little bit about your soccer journey? How did you end up at Knox? And yeah, we'll go from there.
Sure. It's an interesting one. I'm probably one of the few coaches in college soccer that's never been an assistant in college soccer. I started at sort of, I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but, I remember I called up Penn State coach at the time, assistant coach Bo Ashini, who I used to watch all the time at Southern Connecticut State with my father, who was a teacher in New Haven. Hey, I'm at Mount Aloysius College, men's and women's coach here, coaching both teams. Can I come on up to the, and it was kind of like, who, where? And we were about 40 minutes south. Since then, I mean, the school itself is fantastic. And my assistant that took over me after there brought him to the tournament, and Mount Aloysius College, a real player now in Division III. But started there. My wife and I moved to Illinois College week after we got married some 12 years ago. Might be getting that wrong, Aaliyah, sorry. And
you're in trouble, man.
I'm in trouble. 1 year there was awesome. We did some things with IC in the Midwest Conference that was first in my coaching career has quite a few firsts when I take over a team, kind of able to elevate them. Mm-hmm. So Mount Aloysius College, first ever postseason win. IC, first postseason in about a quarter century in the Midwest Conference, which only at the time had 11 teams, so 4 of 11. And Matt Edwards and Knox alum Clint Moore and amazing AD Chad Isley, who's now at Hampton Sydney, kind of saw that I did some things with IC. My wife saw that Knox could be a potential chance to get back to the East Coast as we were planning to start a family, young family. Mm-hmm. So we jumped at the opportunity, and it was a successful 3 years at Knox. My first stint, going 39, 10, and 9, 22, 2, and 4 in conference. And after that, my assistant took over and took them to the tournament and basically get me out of a program, and the team does even better. But I helped them climb a bit, and from Knox, sort of as we thought Knox would help with, Bates came a-calling and had enlightening 3 seasons, 4 years there, holding the rope during COVID, but pre-COVID, bringing Bates to their top half NESCAC finish, first time in, again, 20-some-odd years. Only coach there, albeit a short 3 seasons, that's over 500. Tough place and tough time to win in men's soccer in the NESCAC. Yeah. But fun CBB battles, trying to push two number 1 teams in the nation came to Lewiston, Maine 1 year, in Tufts and Amherst, I think it was that season. So, and then, it came time we had a Maine baby during COVID, came time to sort of return home almost all the way, literally, I guess, so to speak, bringing my wife and daughters at this time to a prep school in Connecticut. And lasted 3 years, constantly itching to get back to working with college men. And Knox, serendipitously, Justin Newell, President McGadney, Colby Guy, Wesleyan Guy, Justin Newell, who had been an associate AD at Kenyon, soccer guy, Seemed like an awesome opportunity to go back to a place that my wife and I loved. To scratch that itch behind every good male coach is a wonderful, wonderful wife. So I'm thankful to my wife and daughters for this new opportunity at a new Knox. I know it's not the same team I inherited from Matt Edwards or Clint Moore. Clint now at Pomona, by the way. But, it's going to be a fun climb with a good group of guys that I've been meeting over the summer via phone call.
What was it about Knox that you thought, or your wife thought, that this would be a good opportunity for you so that you could get back to, I'll just say generically, the East Coast?
Oh, the first time around, yeah,
Yeah.
the high academics. It's a Liberty League. It's an ACM school, Associated Colleges of the Midwest, which includes, for those of us prestige suckers, the Grinnells and the Carltons and some of those that might. But the Chicagoland faithful includes Knox, McAllister. I think maybe University of Chicago might be in there too. But it's a wonderful consortium. And Edwards before me went to CMS, Claremont McKenna, Mud Scripts. For lack of a better phrase, was stepping stone in that regard. I don't view this opportunity as such, just different age and different fatherhood, if you will. My daughter's a bit older now, but we really enjoyed our time to come back to Knox a second time. It was truly sort of where I could be myself a little bit more. If any NESCAC was ever going to hire me, it was going to be a Bates, right? It was going to be a Bates in Lewiston, Maine. Sheikh, last name Sheikh, with tattoos on the forearms. Like that's sort of me. That's sort of me. It's sort of how my teams are. I always think teams are like of their place, and Lewiston's a little grittier. And Knox is similar. And so it's a welcomed return. Justin, like I mentioned, Justin and President McGadney at Knox this time around have been amazing. But first time around, to your question, it was that sort of, it's a Liberty League of the Midwest. Centennial for sort of that, the East Coast D3 bias where most of the teams are.
And a lot of the focus, which is hence my conversations with folks like yourself, right? Like,
sure. Yeah.
Get away from that a little bit. Where you?
A lot of great schools.
I always ask this of new coaches. Were you hired with a purpose? Meaning, the president, the athletic director, they reach out. Do they like, we want you to come back to do X? Was there any of that, or was this just, hey, we have an opening, we thought of you, great opportunity?
Yeah, so that's an awesome question. Winning is intentional. I've been at it 4 institutions now, and a wonderful prep school, Frederick Gunn School in Washington, Connecticut. There's fantastic coaches that don't necessarily win everything. There's coaches that winning's intentional. It's throughout the institution. And President McGadney and both McGadney and Justin Newell have said, wins and losses aren't going to be everything, because that's not the ethos of Knox. It's incredibly, slap you in the face, diverse institution. And that's said quite a bit. Knox doesn't even necessarily need to buy it. Like maybe a rung up the prestige ladder might do in buying their diversity. It's sort of the place brings it in, and all are welcome, and very much a come as you are type of place. But so it's nice to know a little bit of job security with a family. That wins and losses aren't everything, and I think Midwest Conference is going to be the best it's ever been. Since my time, the conference said goodbye to St. Norbert and Carroll, but there will be welcoming in Luther, who I think is a D3 power next year. Amazing young coaches. I see one of the schools I left for Knox won it last year with Lake Forest, and Grinnell and Coach Jaworski, and the list goes on. of fantastic schools. So wins and losses aren't everything, but it's always been a place, Knox, where soccer and football, American football, and to have a president and AD understand um, that it's low-hanging fruit, especially at a place where professors might have their Knox scarf and Greek life gets out to the games, and it's a fun place for a D3 player to ply their trade. So my charge is always experience, and they said as much. But there's a little bit of let's return back to the top from when certainly the team I inherited from Edwards and Clint, the team that we won a championship with, and my assistant Coach O'Connor, who's now at Westminster in Missouri, took the team to the tournament 2 times in 3 years. So to return to that sort of championship level is definitely part of the plan.
What's the first thing you're going to do? Or I mean, you literally in the last month got the job and are moving. I think you said in a couple of weeks, maybe. I can't remember.
I think when we were first emailed, it was a couple of weeks. It'll be. We sort of returned to the shores of Maine this week to do a little recruiting, but hit the beach one more time before we hit the Midwest. I can't speak highly enough of the cities out there. I love Chicago and can't wait to get some barbecue in St. Louis. But we'll be moving July 21st. But it'll be at Bates. I did this at this time at Knox. I'll be doing this, meeting the team day one of preseason. Certainly had an opportunity to have an hour with them in an interview, but that was certainly an interview format, and they put me to the sword. It'll be my turn day one of preseason to put the Knox lads to the sword. It's not easy, but I think one of my strengths is man management. I think a head coach needs an ego, and I am a tactics junkie, and I do like when tinkering works, but I've over-tinkered. I've second-guessed. It's easy to be Monday morning quarterback. X's and O's can be wrong as much as we can get them right. But I do pride myself on being straightforward with men. Again, another reason why I want to be able to work with that age group again. And then I myself was a petulant footballer, and it was tough to get me to go to class and all those things. Not to say that Knox is that, or certainly my Bates players were that, but to come in, set a standard, which is the day one, which is the behind the scenes now, setting that standard, so we hit the ground running day one in preseason. And I know those Midwest Conference coaches that are still there for my first, there's an expectancy of what my teams will play like, and I tell everyone I recruit that they'll have every chance to win every game we play. We will fight. We will fight doggedly and relentless to get a W. So we're certainly going to make Knox alumni proud. But those are things, I mean, these are cliche, easier said than done. It's the day in and day out, a little bit of the ratcheting up of the screws that we'll be doing in preseason.
This is a loaded question, so I apologize. And it's maybe not my place, but I'll ask it because it popped into my head.
Yeah.
Is this a forever program for you now?
That's an awesome question, and I get that from parents when I'm recruiting. And my rebuttal to that is kids shouldn't choose schools because of coaches, especially at the Division III level. So not to be a politician and skirt that question, but I really do, considering, I played Division II, junior college, went to junior college as part of a college prep program 20 years ago in Florida, transferred up to Division I, coaching Division III, best mates way back when that were NAIA champs at Rio. It's our job to know all that players can go. And coaches move. With that said, I was shocked at the price of our home in the Midwest, outside, in between Peoria and Galesburg. It feels closer to the forever value home. But I have a job to do at Knox, and it's the return it to glory, and part of that glory is the experience of players clinking beers decades down the line of their experience during their 4 years in Galesburg, and that's going to take a little bit of time. That they're not eating rocks right now. Keve Akpori, who's been almost like Uncle Kev in the Galesburg area, when I recruited a player who became an All-American at Knox my first time around under Coach O'Connor. Again, just get me out of there, and teams do better. But Coach Akpori has always sort of been a mentor around the program, and then became an assistant for Coach O'Connor, who took over after me, and then has been at the helm the last few years. The team's character is terrific. It's just, I think the Midwest Conference is sort of, all of D3 has sort of elevated, and post-COVID, schools need to get creative to fill those beds. And I was never more lauded. I know other NESCAC coaches at the time felt the same way. They've never felt more lauded as a coach during COVID. I know it's forever ago, and this will be sort of the first group of players that didn't have to deal with that, or they won't have the fifth year, so to speak. But it's still, the economic fallout from that is something where a lot of D3 schools did move. So coming back to the Midwest and seeing some schools were like, they were crap when I left. Some of these, not Midwest Conference specific, I wouldn't give any Midwest Conference teams locker room chatter like that. But some Midwest Conference programs that weren't great that have since made moves and admissions, all of Division III. And then again, access for recruits just gets better and better and better. It's just, if my first 10 years and then this 3-year blip at prep in between, even coming back to it this summer, just the showcases, it's absolutely wild. So, not a stepping stone.
Okay. Can you expand on the difference between when you started and now, 10 years, and then you took the little gap?
I think ECNL has for the Division III high academic climate has just completely caught up to MLS Next in many ways. Outside of the MLS affiliate clubs, which might be strictly D1 feeders or D1 of D3 like a Tufts. But the reality is a Tufts or an Amherst or Chicago or you name them. There's 20 of them. Johns Hopkins, list goes on, where you go if you get in type of school. They can only take 5 or 6, and there's more soccer players out there than that. So the coach that can find them potentially down a rung, or perceived down a rung, but can potentially sell the same outcomes. My first stint, we had a Brazilian-born lad in the Illinois area, Goldman Sachs, Manhattan. I had Bates guys that were Goldman, maybe a different branch. They didn't land and I think he's VP of something now, before 30. Captain from the St. Louis area, Harvard Law School. These are wonderful outcomes. And I don't know if it's every Knox student, but I would tell you it's not every NYU student either. It's a place where if you bloodlet it, you can have some wonderful outcomes. So there's a men's soccer blueprint. There's a Knox student blueprint of if you're willing to come to a place like Knox and bloodlet it, you can absolutely match Tier 1 academics if we're maybe top of Tier 2, which is a wonderful place to be. I've always said D3 when I started at Mount Aloysius College. D3 has like 6 tiers academically. And there's phenomenal soccer programs at each. The trick is to be at the top of each tier. And those are the teams that we know, soccer-wise. But ECNL to MLS Next, that gap has closed quite a bit in our continent country. So
I think you see that too in the soccer. Just my anecdotal, just watching the game and how much improvement there's been. And I know this is maybe like opinion that a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." But I still believe like your top Division threes can compete with a good chunk of Division 1. Like,
Un- Undoubtedly,
I'm not
I
saying the top 20 are going to be as elite as they
undoubtedly.
are. You know.
You see it in some of the spring results that happen, but undoubtedly, like I said, I received more access from Mount Aloysius College to IC to Knox to Bates, more access through the academic sort of rungs,
Right.
or again the prestige academic rungs. And at the tier one academic D3s, they are recruiting with mid-major high academic D1s. You know, I don't know if you had a son or daughter and they got into Colgate or Williams. I don't. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Is my point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Totally agree.
and Bates and Bucknell, you can't go wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, but it's not just the high academic D3s. We obviously know it's really, again, going back to winning being intentional. And you said it yourself. There's a many different ways to skin a cat in terms of tactics. Our sport allows for that. You know, not every team is going to be Akron zips, no pun intended, zipping the ball on the turf around the field. I'm sure there would be a 20th ranked team in Division 3 that would have to muck things up. But athletically is another place from my first spot to now 13 years later. Strength and conditioning. There's some schools that can go out and get some of the top athletes or coaches that recruit that, and but athletically, the strength and conditioning and the way that the NCAA sort of allowed a little bit more of that, has made the gap lessen a little bit more. But at the same token, D1s push the envelope that much more.
Yeah.
Eventually, ACC, and we're not talking. You didn't say Clemson and Wake Forest and Duke. You did mention the idea of mid-major, low-major, and absolutely, not every one of them. There's amazing creative coaches that co-opt and you never walk alone, and you get a pro player out of the low-major schools. But I've always been impressed with, and I went back to years ago when I was at IC. I did a Midwest NCAA regional. I was one of I helped
Coordinators or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Trinity University, Paul McGinley, and Wartburg at the time, and a Wheaton team that ended up losing to, I think, Shapiro's first Tufts championship. And going to Bates a couple of years later, I'm like, that was a fifth place NESCAC team that year. Because I saw Wheaton just absolutely buzz through Wartburg on the night. Yeah. And, Ohio State transfers at left back, and I remember one year Tufts brought a Princeton transfer off the Babson up in the Northeast is who's who selling the business niche for second chance D1 lads. So, and this isn't a puffing out the chest of D3 to D1 or anything like that. It's just the pool's gotten bigger. The pool's gotten bigger and better. The access has gotten better. Coach recruiting, more full-time assistants, Division 3, and then the experience that presidents and the NCAA is allowing is getting that much better, and therefore Division 3's gotten better. I'm nervous if I left the Knox program that was dominant. We were undefeated in regular season play the last 2 seasons in the Midwest Conference. I do not expect that. I expect what I mentioned earlier of we will have a chance to win every game we compete. But potentially gone are those days of even in conferences that don't necessarily have a lot of at-large bids. I think there's a lot of parity, and that's a good thing.
I think players, it's dawning on them, good or bad, right? Like, there's more soccer out there than just D1.
Yep.
And I think a lot of kids are waking up to the idea of, I just want to play. And I don't want to, right? I don't want to sit the bench. I don't want to work my tail off to get nothing. And I think that's a big motivating factor behind why I think the quality of players in D3 every year gets better and better and better because you have that downstream, but then, like you said, the pool is bigger and better.
100%. The trickle down of the roster limitations, coupled with, again, COVID economic fallout, D3 will always have larger rosters. I remember that same, again, going back 8 years, 9 years, whatever it was, when I was part of the coordination of that Elite Eight, Sweet 16 Elite Eight. I remember there was like one roster that was 26, and then there was another roster that you go online to be like, what's this? Trinity University had like 40 or something, right? Again, different ways that schools facilitate their programs. Was it Marshall years ago and their roster, right? And almost like a JV program and year in and year out. But what that allows is a school to potentially, or a coach to coach them up in a different way. You probably won't have that at the NESCAC level where you're getting a certain number of slots through admissions. So that's fascinating to me in terms of players wanting to play. I'm always cognizant of that. At Knox, we will have a reserve schedule to make sure our bottom third of the roster gets 7, 8, 9 games. And when they do it, they're logging 70, 80, 90 minutes. So that if they then get a 5 minutes in the varsity contest, they're revving their engines and emptying the tank for the team, and the 5 minutes they maybe do get. So I've also used those games in the past. Again, going back to your idea, players want to play for players coming back from injury. So I think D3 being an avenue where kids, soccer's the easy part for a lot of talented soccer players. Right? Let's not forget that these are very formative 18 to 22, 19 to 23 years, 17 to 21, incredibly formative years where guys are discovering themselves in different ways. They're figuring out what the heck they're going to do in this economic climate and career that will probably not be a straight shot for 30 years. So, being good at soccer for many of them, or at least their thoughts of being phenomenal, no, they all have something to give. D3 allows some of that leniency a little bit more, and certainly, as you alluded to, that much better percentage chance of potentially playing. But it's shocking to a lot of first years. It's not easy to gain minutes from a returner. It's not easy to get. What you have is a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, a sophomore, a junior, a senior that becomes D1 good. If maybe they weren't as a 16-year-old being recruited, 17-year-old recruiting. And back to the level of the top teams, their starting lineup 15, 16 deep, they're D1 good. They might not have started at that level. I learned that in my other sport. My brothers and my father all played tennis in college. When I started to go up from like 16 and under tennis to open and to open level, and people were driving themselves to the tournament. Like they weren't going out. The girlfriend was watching instead of their mom. They weren't going down quietly. The same thing rings true for elite programs and the competitiveness for playing time within, which is something we're gonna do with our at this moment, a slightly larger roster than I love. It will be pared down, and in terms of turning the screws, like I mentioned before. But then within that roster, playing time is always a great motivator.
I was speaking with Marco Ryan of Ripon College yesterday, and we talked about this very idea of the reserve squad and players wanting to play, and you have a large roster, and you make a great point, right? Maybe that kid at 16, 17 is good enough, but not good enough. He gets the opportunity to play, and he matures into the player that can be a D1 type player, or a D1 level player. And so his big thing was the reserve schedule to give those guys the opportunity to actually play, right? And see how that goes, and then use that as the stepping stone to the first team and all that kind of stuff. So I find that
Yeah,
super interesting.
I've yet to meet Marco, but he's done a fantastic job. Rippon's got a wonderful indoor facility, and again, another nod to the Midwest Conference being probably the best it's ever been. But it is interesting. It's not an easy nut to crack for coaches. I always tell players if they want to make it easy for me, bag 3 goals, get your head on a defensive set piece. Make it easy for me. Absolutely separate. But what you do get, I find at the Division III level, is a lot of tweener types as well. So a wide player that might be fullbacky, wingbacky, could also be used sort of like as a defensive winger, and 8s and 10s sort of, is it a 2-holder, 1-holder, and a lot of tweener types because the best scorers go D1. The best goalkeepers tend to go D1, the things that decide games in the 18s. So I hope that Knox can win those margins in between the two 18s, in addition to finding a way to win the 18s, if you will.
Yeah. All right. So your schedule, I'll say you because I don't do this, but I actually do, and I'm asking for a reason. Like if you're looking at your schedule, what's the game that you have circled?
Lake Forest and IC. They were at the top last year. So you circle them early, but I could say that or not say that, and Lake Forest and IC would be up for it. They need to know that a target's on their back, right? And that every other team's hunting, or was just there. Every other team hunting needs to understand that they've got sort of that championship bump that you get. Where I watch my daughters grow up, and my dad and my brothers were the bio guys. I was the social science guy. But fascinates me like they learned to walk. Did they believe they could before they did type of thing? So these are the teams that they've done it. So they kind of know what it takes. So it'll be fascinating how that works. I mean, with that said, I've learned since I've not taken a team to the tournament, as much as I feel as though I've taken teams and elevated them within the season. It might be because of my nature where I can't not be passionate for all 90. I wonder if there's been too many Super Bowls in the regular season, and that's something I think I might have. I hope I've improved on. We'll see. There's still some piss and vinegar flowing through my veins, but so you want to say circle them all, but you want to take care of Midwest Conference business. I don't know. Personally, Grinnell ended when we were the 1 seed. My last game I ever coached in Midwest Conference was Grinnell. Rippon's the newcomer, and we're neck and neck to try and catch Lake. This is all based on last season, but you want to. Yeah. I know Will up at Lawrence is similarly full of piss and vinegar too, so it'll be fun for those teams. And Lawrence comes down as the Vikings, and the list goes on. I have great respect for all of the Midwest Conference teams. Mm-hmm. I'd like to say, you as a result, and the unlikelihood of at-large bids out of our conference, you use a lot of the out-of-conference games to learn a lot about our team. Mm-hmm. Plus, our schedule doesn't have. Once we're in the schedule, we're in the schedule. Yeah. The other thing that could maybe take a little sting out of the locker room banter for that Lake Forest and IC comment is they're the first teams we play in conference. So to set us out on a strong foot, it's why we'll be talking about that. But we'll also be talking about first scrimmage. We'll also be talking about when North Central's our first contest, in the regular season. So. But I think, and I hope, I've learned some lessons in terms of not every team can emotionally be a Super Bowl in it, and there is something to be said. And we've been through it. A midweek away game. It's business-like. You just got to get a W anyway.
It's hard. Those games are like the hard games that can really derail you. Like midweek.
Yep.
Those are tough.
I remember when the Bates kids there's a certain elitism sometimes to the NESCAC lads, and rightfully so. They've won themselves an amazing education, Little Ivy moniker,
Yeah.
and but I remember telling them, like, whoever we might be playing that might not be, and that's like, they also have midterms at this time of the fall or whatever it may be. It's all relative. Knox has to be aware, for those recruits that are interested, we're a tri-term system, so you don't juggle, 6 classes for 16 weeks and meeting 4 times a week. We get to scratch a little bit more deeper educationally with a professor in small classes, if that's your learning style. And, our schedule then, when we're in midterms, is very different than our opponent who might be in midterms. That's stuff that I look up, or have my assistant look up. Because, before anything on my scout, I put the psyche synopsis of what this is, what it was last year, what's the current state of both teams, what might be going on that campus, right? And the build-up. So, I don't even want to go over the midweek games or double headers that are sometimes seen in Division III. So,
Where will you play your games? Are you at the Pratt Field, or Stadium?
Thank you for giving a beautiful segue into our wonderful state of the art. Yeah. So back when I coached, and Edwards and Clint, named it the Prats Patch. Jorge Prats, no longer with us, rest his soul, was a founder of the men's and women's programs at Knox. Wonderful, gentle soul, and loved his football, and brought so many wonderful people to Knox, plying their trade in the sport. But we now have a soccer-specific turf facility, beautiful Knox logo, off-centered, facing the fans, fenced all around, Midwest Conference championships for the men's and women's teams up, lights coming, amazing scoreboard that I wonder how it makes sense, because fans are still right there in the traditional of sort of grass rope fans, except soccer-specific turf rope fans. But there's this wonderful scoreboard for replays or introductions. The facility's absolute state-of-the-art. Beautiful purple border around it, which I remember in the designing of it when I was there at Knox. My first stint sort of took a page out of St. Thomas, who at the time was Division III, but now Division I. Yeah, when we have a very international-centric roster, again, where the soccer part's easy, and Midwest off-seasons can be unforgiving, so to have that turf is absolutely fantastic for us. Yeah. And the lights will be a really welcomed addition.
Yeah. It's new. I mean,
newish. It's been around 4 or 5 years, but that historically, Galesburg and Knox was a place you came and it was a small grass field, and either Knox's talent in small spaces would win the day, or Knox's rough and tumble would win the day. Now it's a massive, beautiful soccer-specific turf, no other lines but, and no lacrosse, no football. You got to be the better footballing team.
Yeah.
Run fast, hit hard, but also play some good stuff with the ball. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I've yet to coach a game on it, so help the embryonic stages of the planning of it before it was laid down by Teresa Amat. Give a shout out to her, the former Knox president, that helped bring that championship there, and then all the wonderful women's soccer players that were more dominant than the men's team ever was for a stint there. That the Knox board was like, we need to get this, and sort of, if you build it, they will come. And our roster is from all over the globe. Unlike most Division III teams in the country, it's just almost exclusively international. I'm gonna intentionally bring some more domestics in. That was a backbone of my Knox teams, and I think that's important. But we'll continually bang that drum of, I had conference players of the year from Brazil, Italy, Nigeria. We're going to continue to bang that drum, and it will always be part of Knox, not just our soccer team.
Mm-hmm. Is that a Knox thing? The
It was.
internationals?
It was before. I know it's. I know. Jun Adachi, a Knox alum, Hall of Famer, from Japan, years ago, and his Knox teams. Back whenever I get to meet him, they talk to me about how they played Division I teams. Right? They played Northwestern. They played an amazing schedule. It's always been the Lincoln Douglas debates took place on campus. It's always been a come as you are destination. If New York and the Boston schools go to upstate, and maybe to the west and south to some of those Pennsylvania schools, and the Centennial, certainly to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, that's their away. Knox is the away for some of those internationals, but Chicago O'Hare is such an easy spot. The train comes straight through Galesburg. The train station's 2 blocks from campus. When I'll be coming in for preseason, I'll see some of the non-student athletes carrying their first, their annual yearly bags, their first bags for the year off the train station a couple blocks from campus. It's easy access. It's high academic. It's affordable. One of the rankings I like. I don't love them all, but is return on an investment, satisfaction, happiness. Knox does really well there, and it's sort of always been Knox's thing, Knox's ethos. But I think Matt Edwards in this modern era, myself, Brian O'Connor, Kevek, Coach Ekpore, we all press that button. But I'll intentionally be go back to Chicagoland a little bit more because we are a little bit of the away for that city.
Yeah. It's a beautiful campus. I'm just
It is.
looking at pictures as you were talking, and I'm always curious about that because I think Luther is a little bit like that. There's a number of schools in the Midwest that are. There's something about them. Again, to me, it's intentional. It has to be a school thing. It's very hard if it's just the coach, right? Like the school has to be intentionally going out and looking to bring in international students. And
sometimes with the domestic students, you got to battle the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Inside the brain, the parents, sometimes the parents, which are a part of recruiting, right? Yeah. So if you're going. Soccer still remains domestically an affluent sport, unfortunately. So if you're talking high academics, again, are their schools cheaper? Yeah. But are we giving wonderful merit aid to our accepted students? And yeah, like we do. But domestically, those families that are open to it are, like you said, to not just Knox, but a whole host of Midwestern schools. Oh my goodness, this is gorgeous. I was first introduced to it at Mount Aloysius College when we went to see Hiram. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's I-80 and it's whatever. You don't see, you think that's and then you get off and you see this beautiful town. Yeah. You see this wonderful neighborhood where it's a kid going away. Yeah. That's they're away outside of a few schools that are really of a city. And NYU, the BUs, the Northeasterns. I'm thinking in the Northeast. You're often away. You have your campus. I've never met a college kid that's rich. So where I last was in the prep market, pushing kids on to the collegiate level. One parent, a kid went to College of Charleston, and she's like, "You're not going to be partying on Charleston nightlife every night because you don't have that money." But wonderful decision for that young man. But. Yeah. Knox's campus is gorgeous. It's an awesome side of town that's sort of a little bit more of the industrial side, the slice of Americana, where you will see the train stations. I know my first stint, my wife and I would go a couple weeks if I wasn't recruiting, where it's like you don't even leave city limits because everything's there. Your Targets, Starbucks, and Chipotle's, or whatever makes whatever makes the kids ticks they're on the main drags. But then when you're of age, the watering holes, the cafes, the restaurants, coffee shops that are there for the college faithful are certainly a part of it. And it's I don't want to say it's a college city, but Carl Sandburg Junior College is there as well. An NJCAA Division II team and a wonderful athletic department as well. So Yeah, I think it's a place where kids can play. And then again, the tri-term system allowing them to come and go a little bit more. Knox has a 700-acre preserve, one of the biggest in the Midwest, called Green Oaks. So those students that they don't even need to be into it because of the exploratory nature of some of our degrees.
Yeah.
They can go and have a term out at Green Oaks with a now new state-of-the-art dorms, $1 million plus dorms, and live with a professor. These opportunities to me are you wouldn't know it. It's my job
Yeah.
to make the domestic student understand it
Yeah.
and see it. But families that are open to it are amazed at not just Knox, but all of these wonderful campuses that might be slightly off the beaten path of I-95.
That's I tell people this all the time, and I think that's my fascination with Division Three is that, and you say Hiram, is a perfect example of that. Like these places that are just a little bit off the beaten path, and you just show up, and they're like these oases of some amazing things, like and you're like, where is this? Where does this come from?
Sure.
And they're
Yeah.
dime the dozen. There's a lot of them that
They
do
are.
great stuff, right? Academically, athletically, and all that stuff. It's just really interesting. And I find that to be tremendous. Like I also tell people, it is not. There's nowhere else in the world that has anything remotely close to. I'll just say the Division III experience. I think it's the collegiate experience in the
Sure.
United States, but definitely the Division III. These small niche schools spread out all over the place. So
The Boober alums that do have some of those battle stories versus at that time back in the 70s, 80s that might have been Division III playing what's now Division I, and but essentially everybody then being off of like what is a Division III model, and their successes post that playing experience and their lifelong friends. I saw. Oh, I hear you on a tour.
sorry,
No, it's awesome.
It kicked on. Sorry.
I saw the other day on social media Junadachi, another shout out to him, taking Norm Hildner, another phenomenal Boomer alum who
Yeah.
both great supporters of the program in college, taking a couple of vacation out to Japan together.
Yeah.
It's not to say that Division I doesn't get that, but Division I's purpose is to win games solely.
It's a little different.
Solely, and Division III's purpose, and therefore their campus's purpose, and it's experience. Now we all love winning more, and that adds to it. But I for the you would be able to Google the amount of colleges in the U.S. There are a lot you wouldn't send your worst enemy's kids to. But there are probably hundreds that might do the trick for lots of kids. Some fitting better than others, and as a recruiter, certainly more than one that they'd be happy with. So it's not an easy task to find home away from home, but these campuses can be that for a lot of student athletes.
So, when do you report? When does the team report?
August 14th, per our schedule. We don't start up on the ball until the 16th. So a lot of housekeeping items to take place, compliance,
Physicals and all that kind of crap.
and the internationals certainly getting jet lag out is always a necessity.
Yeah. Let me ask you. I always say it's the last question, but it's never the last question, and it's more broad than I just say. This is just a soccer question, so it's not a Division III, or it can be. Just whatever you think is the right answer. What is the one thing that we are not talking about that we should be in soccer in the United States?
The social aspect. We're part of, and I'll buy that it's a golden generation. Other countries have had golden generations in their national team, and they've disappointed. Some of them an embarrassment of riches that the U.S. men's national team would take one. That's the striker, and we feel like we could be a quarterfinal team. the social side of it. The sport is social. It's 45 minutes, no timeouts. It's when you talk to teams at any level. I started as a middle school coach. You feel one of the most fun and famous games of my own mind that I ever coached as a middle school team that was down 4-0 at half and came back to win it 4-4. And that was absolutely me selling and those young 7th and 8th graders believing in one another and feeling when a goal's coming, feeling when you can do it. Also, everyone's been on a team when you feel a goal might be coming and the number 9 gets behind the ball. Or the goalkeeper makes the 80-yard run. Social. And I grew up on a golden generation at the time that we called it, and they did make the run in the World Cup that came out of the residency. I don't know if we need to do that again. It's probably a good thing that we have multiple residencies now. Scouting in a continent country will always be a tough nut to crack. But the social. It's a social sport. It is personality at every level is what makes or break. And I wonder if for all the talent, I'm a United fan. We're paying Sancho, who has all the talent in the world, Jadon Sancho, to piss off to Juve, £5 million severance for what? Now, I'm sure he has, and part of it might be too much too soon, but there is to be able to dig your heels in and work across different managers or a different center midfielder, and soccer is all about doing it when it's not right. Yeah. And the social, to be ready for the moment, for those 10 seconds out of 90 that you play for, to make something out of nothing, to not mess up, to lift your teammate. I've been on teams and coached teams that have won, and it's been unenjoyable. I've been on teams and coached teams that have lost, and it's been some of the most enjoyable stuff I've been a part of. My first year and second year at Mount Aloysius College, I coached a women's team that lost to Bethany 7-0. I think it might have been worse. I inherited a 0-win women's team. Their coach, super sad story, had passed the year prior. We were going door to door to fill the roster at Mount Aloysius College. They lost 7-0. The next year, on the road in Bethany, West Virginia, I remember the bus got stuck in a turnaround. That's okay. We had country roads blasting. We won 3-2 on the road. Picked up 1 or 2 Division II talents to play up top, and they got in behind really well. And my captain at the time, a woman named Liz Josephson. Liz, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, geez, I've done it. She's crying. She's like, no, I'm just happy. And I said, you know what? You're right. This is awesome. That was a team, by the way, talk about character and personality. That was a team that I could go in and say, look, Penn State Barron has more talent, but this is how we can beat them. Yeah. I tell you, there's not a lot of men's teams you can speak like that to. Yeah. But the social aspect, back to your question, Paul, has to get right. Culture, coaches talk about it all the time. We all talk about it. Yeah. Very, very tough to do.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. There is something about the game that the best teams, and you see it, right? The best, and there's a cohesion, there's I don't want to say likability, you don't necessarily have to like the guy, but there's something at a level where respect, all these different things come together, and then the output of that is just a great team, enjoyable to watch. And I think you could see a lot of teams that are not like that, and I think it just sort of talks to the greater disconnect that I think people have with each other just because they're so busy on these things instead of actually sitting and talking about different things. But
I loved culturally when I went in for my interview and all the Knox lads came in and phones on my lectern where I was going to be interviewing from, and sat down and get engaged. I have a coaching colleague, even Stu, if Stu's listening, he was my predecessor at Bates, went on to Dartmouth, and has since been a professional conference champion winning coach. He coached Denton Diablos this year. Stu Flaherty, shout out to him. He did a lesson for one of my Bates teams on focus. That was just absolutely fascinating. And yeah, personality, focus, being able to put in all the talent and energy that these young men have into the 90 minutes that matter is a wonderful thing. A final shout out to, you mentioned likability. A lot of times people would moan about him. Would be Justin Serpone, and he's laughing all the way to multiple championships and a 900 plus win percentage in the NESCAC with alumni and players that love him and backing of a top 5 Division III academic power, top 2, 3 division academic power, however you want to see it, that love him to pieces. And that's a guy who understands personality. And so
I have my issues.
Yeah.
But you can just tell there is something about that group that he manages day in and day out, that there is something special that goes on internally, and that's ultimately all that matters, right? Like,
yeah, I've always respected that. And I respect the heck out of you. Thank you for taking the time with all of us coaches.
You know what? That's what I enjoy it. This is these are conversations I like to have, believe it or not. Like, I'd like to talk. I just like to talk about the game and sort of what you're doing, and there's, I'll just say that. All right, Coach. I do appreciate you taking the time. I wish you all the best. I will be following. We'll watch a couple games so long as you guys stream it.
Yep.
And I wish you and your men the best in this new journey for you. So.
Thank you much, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.